G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So a few weeks ago, I went over the best AFL player at every single age from the 2022 season, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the best AFL player at every height from the 2022 season, going from 170 centimeters all the way up to 213. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated, and let's get into it. Okay everyone, so here is the graphic on your screen. I actually don't have space for a face cam, so I'm just doing this through the mic, and as you can see, there is all the centimeters we are going by. I could go by feet and inches. That would probably make it a lot more difficult to choose because there's obviously a lot less options, but I just wanted to be really specific with this video. Go by each centimeter, and we have 43 players here to choose from. So let's kick it off with shortest to tallest, 170 centimeters. There's only one player, and I think we all know who it is. Caleb Daniel from the Western Bulldogs. Possibly one of the best kickers in the competition, that is safe to say, and it just astounds me still how he is able to excel most of the time with his small frame. 171 centimeters, we've got 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐎𝐥𝐝. We also had the opportunity to select 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼, but since this is based off the 2022 season, it is quite obvious to choose 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐎𝐥𝐝. An awesome year he had for the Demons in that small forward role. 172 centimeters, and we've got 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐻 𝐴𝐻𝐻, the Papua New Guinea recruit from the Gold Coast Suns. Enjoyed a nice little spell in the second half of the season, a nice little purple patch. Debut was absolutely awesome against the Pies, and how heartwarming was it when he kicked that first goal in AFL footy, and his family back in Papua New Guinea were absolutely loving it. 173 centimeters, and I've gone with Liam Baker. Few options we could have gone with: Collier, Corey Durden, James Rose, Spargo, 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐻, but Liam Baker was the clear-cut winner in that height bracket. A tough as nails halfback flanker that shows versatility, can go forward, and of course was the Players Association most courageous player of 2022. Plays really big, bigger than what his size suggests. 174 centimeters, and we can only really go with one player here, Darcy McPherson. We also had Brent Daniels and Lewis Taylor, but both those players did not play a single game in 2022, therefore making McPherson having a fit in here from the Gold Coast Suns. Played I think around 10 games this season, but yeah, hopefully he can get a bit more game time next year as a higher forward. 175 centimeters, we've gone with Shai Bolton from Richmond. We had two good options here, Dion Prestia or Tyson Stengel. I just felt with Shai Bolton, the X factor he brings is second to none. One of the most exciting players in the competition to watch, just energetic with the footy, and he can really just change a game with his ability. 176 centimeters, I've gone with Errol Gulden from the Sydney Swans. Another close honourable mention I have is Dylan Moore, but I just feel like probably a bit more with team success and a bit more impact. I feel like Gulden just pips out Dylan Moore. Nothing against Moore, had a magnificent season, especially when he did move a bit more into the midfield, but I just feel that Gulden is a heck of a talent and is, yeah, there's potential is sky high and a great user of the ball too. 177 centimeters, we've got Tom Papley, Jake Arts, Riley Garcia, Jake Gresham, Paddy Parnell with a few close options, but we had to go with one of the best small forwards in the competition. Ranked elite in score involvements and also goal assists from that small forward role, and has just really elevated his game the last few years. 178 centimeters, I've gone with 𝘧𝐻𝐻 𝐿𝐼𝐻, Josh Dacos, Rory Laird, Tuke Miller, some close options to choose from, but I had to go with the Brownlow medalist of 𝘧𝐻𝐻 𝐿𝐼𝐻. Very close from getting his second in 2022, but just enjoyed a magnificent season for the Lions. Probably one of the best all-round midfielders in the competition, and yeah, just the burst of acceleration shows that every single stoppage is special. 179 centimeters, I've gotten Zach Merritt from Essendon, Jack Viney, Caleb Strong, Daniel Riolo, a few other options, but I just felt that Zach Merritt had to be in this 179 centimeter category. I just feel that his second half of the year, he just really elevated his game. The score involvements he shows whilst getting and accumulating high amounts of footy is just a huge asset for him and the Dons, and they might not have had the season they wanted to, Essendon, but he was one of the few shining lights in the side. 180 centimeters, I've gone with Charlie Cameron from the Brisbane Lions, Tom Atkins, Darcy Parish, Matt Rao with a few other options. Had to go with Charlie Cameron though, of course, alongside probably included before Tom Papley, one of the best small forwards in the competition. Still had a great year, kicking over 50 goals and winning games off his own boot, left, right and centre. 181 centimeters, I've gone with Jack Sinclair. This was a hard one to pick. There was also Chad Warner go over, Isaac Rankin, Butters, Amon, Taylor Adams. I just felt that Jack Sinclair was the best general defender this year, and his burst of acceleration and accumulation was just second to none really this year. 182 centimeters, I've gone with Stephen Coniglio. I've chosen him over Zach Bailey, Sam Berry, 𝐼𝐴 𝐸𝐿𝐴. I just feel that his year was just criminally underrated. I feel like because JDOD didn't play that great of a year or that successful a year, I just felt that he was under the radar sort of Coniglio. His ability to just show his form again with that goal-kicking midfielder ability was, yeah, really good this year, and that's why I've picked him. 183 centimeters, I've gone with Luke Parker, chosen him over Daniel Rich, Joel Selwood. I just feel week after week, him in the coal face, you know what you're going to get out of Luke Parker, just ultra consistent this year. Maybe a top 5 midfielder in the contested possessions, I'm pretty sure as well. Champion year he did have. 194 centimeters, I have Sam Walsh from Carlton, chosen him over Nick Dacos, Tom Liberatore, and still side bottom. Yeah, really hard to pick him over those elite players this year, but I just felt that Walsh has still had a good year, and obviously not the year that he had last year, but just his high accumulation, and he sort of played a higher forward role this year as well. I just thought he was still very productive this year. 185 centimeters, I've gone with Andrew Brayshaw. We had Sam Doherty, Isaac Heaney, and Hugh McCluggage in the close finishes. But yeah, Andy Brayshaw, the Lee Matthews Trophy winner, probably the best two-way midfielder in the competition. Bit of a no-brainer, really. 186 centimeters, I have James Sicily from Hawthorn. I've picked him over Ben Keys, John Newcomb, Cam Rayner. Yeah, one of the best key defenders this year. Had the ability to play tall and small, and because he's just such a good intercept defender, he took on the role of a number 1 key defender or a second key defender whilst Sam Frost was out, and he excelled in that role this year. One of the best intercept markers of 2022. 187 centimeters, I have Christian Petrarca from the Melbourne Demons. This was a hard one. There's also Callum Mills, Jack Steele, Cam Guthrie, Angus Brayshaw to pick here, but I just feel that Petrarca's score involvements and high impact on the scoreboard, I just had to pick him. Probably the most impactful midfielder this year. Had his slumps, of course, but he still had magnificent performances scattered across the year. 188 centimeters, I have Bailey Fritsch, probably the most underrated general forward in the competition, I have to say. I know people slate him for being selfish from here to there, but he still is a smart player. Shows really good forecraft and accurate kick for goal. I picked him over Jordan Teqoy, Tim Taranto, Isaac Smith. Yeah, you know, the only player, of course, to kick a goal every game as well. 189 centimeters, I have Clayton Oliver from the Melbourne Demons. In my opinion, the best AFL player this year. Picked him over Braden Maynard and Hayden Young, the other close selections. But yeah, just the best inside mid from the comp. So clean in traffic, can do anything with it. Yeah, special player here, is absolute superstar. 190 centimeters, I have Jack Crisp from Collingwood. Picked him over Will Brodie, Jeremy Howe, Pat Lipinski. Ultra consistent this year, Crisp. Moving to the midfield a lot more this year. Another best and fairest added to his collection for Collingwood. And yeah, you know, just his elite ball use running capacity was on show this year. 191 centimeters, and I've gone with Josh Dunkley from the Western Bulldogs. Picked him over Cal Wilkie, Scott Pendlebury. Yeah, the best and fairest winner for the Doggies this year. Who'd have thunk it? We all thought McRae and Bontempelli were going to have magnificent years, but he really stood up, Josh Dunkley. His ability to play so well in dual positions in the midfield and the coalface and down forward was extraordinary. He's going to be one hell of a recruit for the Lions next year. 192 centimeters, I've gone with the Coleman medalists of Charlie Curnow. Picked him over Jack McRae, Jared Berry, Jordan Dawson, Noah Anderson. Yeah, I feel like if they're the Coleman medalists, you have to be in this age bracket here of 192 centimeters. And yeah, just an awesome year, Curnow. Kicked a lot of bags this year. Highly athletic option. Awesome in the marking contest too. 193 centimeters, and I've gone with Stephen May, the best key defender of 2022. Picked him over Bontempelli, Jack Riewoldt, Tom McCartan. Not really too much competition there. Yeah, Stephen May clear cut in the 193 centimeter mark. 194 centimeters, and I've gone with Taylor Walker from Adelaide. Really underrated year he did have. Ranked elite in score involvements. Was up there as one of the best key forwards via champion data too. Picked him over Griffin Logue, Aaliyah, Sam Collins, Dylan Grimes. I just thought he was, yeah, really underrated for the Crows this year, and yeah, kicked a lot of bags as well. 195 centimeters, I've gone with Paddy Cripps, the Brownlow medalist. Picked him over Brennan Cox, Paddy McCartan, Aaron Norton. Of course, you always forget with Paddy Cripps, he's a very tall player, 6'5", 195 centimeters. But yeah, obviously had to pick him for being the Brownlow medalist. Yeah, a lot of best on ground performances this year. Just an absolute bully in that midfield, and loves to take his height, put his height to his advantage by taking the game on and breaking many tackles. 196 centimeters, and I've gone with a lot of people's best AFL player of 2022, Jeremy Cameron. Picked him over Wiedering and Sam Taylor. Both of those players had awesome years, but you can't go past Jeremy Cameron. One of the most valuable forwards in the competition, can play high up the ground, can play deep, and can still win games off his own boot, of course. 197 centimetres, I've gone with Tom Barrass from West Coast. Picked him over Harry Petty, Paddy Ryder, Jeremy McGovern. I guess not really too much competition there. Criminally underrated year Tom Barrass did have in a struggling West Coast side. Just a intercept king, really, especially in the second half there, was just plucking everything. And with McGovern out of the side, he was a lot more isolated, and that probably allowed him to excel a lot more in 2022. 198 centimetres, I've gone with Tom Hawkins with Geelong. Picked him over Mike Blitzarves, Josh Bruce, Nick Larkey, Todd Marshall. He was, easily the best player out of this height category. Awesome grand final achievement he did have. Ultra consistent, still plays extremely well to his age, because he's just a really solid contested mark, shows excellent forward craft, leading ability, and of course a very unselfish player too. 199 centimetres, I have Tom Lynch from Richmond. Also, a few other options I had here was Buddy Franklin, Dougal Howard, Toby Nankervis, but yeah, I mean, if he wasn't injured, I feel Tom Lynch, he probably would have a Coleman medal around his neck and an All-Australian selection. Just, superstar year he did have, Lynch. A highly influential player for that Tigers side. And when he's fully fit, he is a player to really watch out on. One of the best contested marks in the competition as well. Now we enter the 200 centimetre range, and we kick off with 200 centimetres. I've gone with 𝗬𝗟 from the Gold Coast Suns. Ben McAvoy and Charlie Dixon were a few other options in this height category, but I had to go with 𝗬𝗟, one of the recruits of the season. Pretty much low expectations, really, heading to Gold Coast, but he absolutely blitzed it, kicking near 50 goals this season alongside delisted free agent of 𝗬𝗟, and just absolutely bossed it. Without Ben King, no worries at all. He was blocking everything, was pretty accurate in front of goal too, enjoyed a magnificent year. 201 centimetres, I've gone with Rowan Marshall, Ben Mackay, Lewis Young, and Joe Danaher with a few other options, but I just feel that Rowan Marshall really stepped his game up in the second half of the season. When Paddy Ryder went down, he was a lot more isolated. They played the single ruck with Rowan Marshall, and he absolutely blitzed it. He really started to get a lot more hit-outs and a lot more possessions. He's a player to really watch next year. He could absolutely carve it up, but for me, Marshall fits in that 201 centimetre bracket. 202 centimetres, we've got another fellow St Kilda player. We've gone with Max King. Tom 𝐓𝐿𝐼, Harris Andrews with a few other close second and third options, but for me, Max King still kicked 50 goals this year. It doesn't really feel like it, of course, but still had, especially in the first half of the year, magnificent performances, and of course, still troubles with his goal kicking, but he has just bucket loads of potential, that is safe to say. Now for 203 centimetres, I've gone with Darcy Moore. Shaun Dux and Peter Wright were really close options. A lot of people will probably go with Peter Wright, and that's a fair option. Oh, even Shaun Dux too, but I feel like Darcy Moore just pips both of them out, because I feel that, I think he was up there for the reverse Coleman, but just how he plays, his athleticism, his intercept marking ability, he is quite decent on the one-on-one too, but it's just his rebound ability. Smart footballer. He was one of the key players in Collingwood's defence on how they were so good, limiting scores inside 50s, and also they were very good in the transition. He was one of the main players, Darcy Moore. I just feel he's a highly valuable player, and that's why I've picked him over Shaun Dux and Peter Wright. 204 centimetres, I've gone with Sam de Koning. Picked him over Harry Mackay, the Big O, and Darcy Cameron. But yeah, wowee, how about this player, Sam de Koning? I have him in my top 50 players of 2022. Pretty much a first-year player, that's safe to say. I think he played one game prior to starting his batch of games this year, and he just took down a lot of Premier key forwards throughout the course of the year. Absolutely blitzed it, especially in the grand final too on Buddy Franklin. But yeah, he's going to be an absolute superstar, Sam de Koning. 205 centimetres, I've gone with Sam Draper, and we're now entering into the high ranks of tallness, so there's a lot more limited options to go with. But yeah, Sam Darcy, Sam Hayes, Jordan Sweet, I think it was quite obvious to pick Sam Draper. Had a really nice year for Essendon, I do feel. I feel like there's a lot of high expectations for him entering into this year and possibly next year as well, and I feel like he was really good. I feel like he had a standout performance against the Pies. Of course, the goal of the year he did have in the later stages of the season, that goal from the ruck was something special too, but he's probably the few shining lights in that Essendon side of this year. 206 centimetres, I've gone with Braden Preuss. He was pretty much the only option to pick here, with Samson Ryan and Henry Smith not being eligible because they did not play a game in 2022. Still with Preuss, of course, a lot of options for a lot of fantasy coaches, but it gets suspended probably a few too many times, but still had a nice few string of performances this year. 207 centimetres, we have either Tim English or Rory Lobb. pretty safe option to go with Team English. One of the best ruckmans of 2022. One of the most improved players, I feel, out of any team or player or position of this year as well, I have to say. Yeah, really elevated his game into an elite ruckman with the ability to go forward and kick goals. And yeah, was just one of the few really good Dockies and consistent Bulldogs players of this year. And it's a shame he did have a few bad luck with multiple injuries throughout the year. But yeah, still was a solid ruckman of 2022. 208 centimetres, we can only go with one play here, and that is Ned Reeves from the Hawthorn Footy Club. Enjoyed a pretty decent year for the Hawks, with Lynch being out most of the time and big boy McAvoy. He really did gain those crucial match minutes that he really does need, and will be, of course, probably the #1 ruck forward heading into next year for Hawthorn. 209 centimetres, we've gone for the big boy Max Gawn, the best ruckman by some margin of 2022. 𝘬𝐼𝐻𝐪 McAndrew and Jared Witts was also here, so maybe the best top 2 ruckman, both 209 centimetres, but I had to go with Max Gawn simply because he just edges Jared Witts in multiple goal-kicking ability statistics. And for the final 3 height brackets here, 210 centimetres, 211, 213, we can only go for one player in each. 210, we've got Alex Murkoff, did not play a game for Carlton this year, so we obviously had to pick him, the only one being for the Blues. 211 centimetres, Mason Cox. Yeah, of course, it was a bit of a different year having to wear the goggles, but still excelled and had a few winning games off his own boot performances, especially against Melbourne back in round 13, I think it was. And the tallest player in the AFL yet to debut, 𝘬𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻, I think it's pronounced Mate, for the Richmond Tigers, came across from basketball. Could he make a debut for the Richmond Tigers? Who knows? But yeah, everyone, there is the best AFL player at every single height bracket from 170 centimetres to 213. So everyone, that is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you wanted to enjoy today's video. That'd be much appreciated. Of course, the draft is coming up at the end of the month, so I am wanting to do a phantom draft closer to the draft and maybe a few other bits of draft content too. So stay tuned on the channel. And yeah, fellas, thank you very much for watching today's video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.